Oh, okay.
I'm just.
I wasn't gonna take it personally.
She gets bounced around.
Oh, okay.
Which
Yeah, I have to
side?
check mine every time too.
Dude,
I think I've settled down to this side here.
I'm very flexible. I think the bouncing around probably suits my nature quite well.
Yeah.
David, Melissa.
Very good to see you.
I could be lazy and just look at
Yep.
your thing. Cheers. We don't, but it's just funny. Adds to the sense of adventure.
Oh, right.
Exciting.
Probably coming from the way that I came from. They turned that new light on, flashing.
Hey.
It is backed up. Yeah. Yeah. Flashing yellow, it's flashing yellow and everybody's stopping. Backing it up. Tried to go behind Publix, it was backfired. Backfired me. It was like stuck all the way to Publix. And it's-
tried that before too.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's why I don't do it anymore. I've done it before.
Let me know when you're ready. I'm good.
Okay. All right. We're gonna go ahead and open the February 5th Design Review Board meeting. The first meeting item is approval of the minutes from November. Has everyone had a chance to review those? Anyone care to make a motion?
I move the approval of the minutes as. I move the approval of the minutes as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. All in favor? Aye. All right. Ms. Reed, any announcements for tonight? Or if not, you can move right into 2.
All right. Only announcement that I have is that I will be presenting Tim's projects on his behalf.
Thank you.
Okay. Item number 1, or 2, Oliver's Twisted Ceramics building sign. This is a request to approve by final order project number SGN 25000319. This is a scenic corridor sign application submitted by Vintage Sign and Light on behalf of Oliver's Twisted Ceramics, requesting approval of a building sign measuring 170 inches, 70.2 inches by 22 inches for a total of 25.94 square feet on 2.27 plus or minus acres with a future land use of mixed use and a zoning category of coastal center. The property is in District 4 at 11275 US Highway 98 West and can be identified by the parcel in your staff report. May I enter the staff report into the record?
So noted.
Okay. So based on the information provided, staff believes the proposed building sign does meet the minimum technical requirements of the US 98-331 Scenic Corridor Design Standards. Staff does not have any comments on this. If you have questions for me, I'm here to answer. If not, I can turn it over to the applicant if they're present.
Any questions for staff? All right. Would our applicant care to come up? All right. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Carmen Jones, the Operations Director for Vintage, so if you have any questions?
Any questions for our applicant? All right. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Anyone from the public care to speak on this one? And seeing none, any comment or questions from us or anybody care to make a motion?
I'd make a motion to approve as submitted.
All right, have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and motion passes. Item number 3.
Item number 3 is the UPS store building sign. This is a request to approve by final order SGN 25000315. This was reviewed by Tim Brown. This is a scenic corridor sign application submitted by Southeastern Lighting Solutions, Inc. on behalf of Juray Enterprises, LLC, requesting approval of a building sign measuring 29 inches by 178.5 inches for a total of 35.95 square feet on 2.27 plus or minus acres with the future land use of mixed use and a zoning category of coastal center. The property is in District 4 at 11275 US Highway 98 West and can be identified by the parcel number in your staff report. May I enter the staff report into the record?
Yes, so noted.
Okay. So based on the information provided, The proposed building sign does meet the minimum technical requirements for the US 98 Scenic Corridor standards contained in Chapter 6. Staff does not have any other questions or concerns or issues, so you may ask me questions on Tim's behalf. If not, I can turn it over to the applicant.
Any questions for staff? Okay. Thank you. The applicant present for this one?
Good afternoon, all. My name is Keyshawn Greaves. Do you guys have any questions?
Any questions?
No?
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Long trip for a sentence, but. All right, we have anyone from the public to speak on this one? All right, seeing no one. Any comment?
I move the approval of the UPS store building sign as presented.
I'll second.
Motion a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, item 4.
Item number 4 is Santa Rosa Plaza Exterior Building Renovation, LTM. This is a request to approve by development order, LTM 25000153 was reviewed by Tim Brown. This is a less than minor development order submitted by Goff D. Antonio Associates on behalf of SCG, out here, 5, 6, 7, 8, Santa Rosa LLC, requesting approval for an exterior building renovation of an existing shopping center on plus or minus 4.34 acres with a future land use of mixed use and a zoning category of village mixed use. The project is in District 5 on the north side of Highway 98 West, east of Don Bishop Road and west of South Haven Circle, and is identified by the parcel number in your staff report. May I enter the staff report into the record?
Yes, so noted.
Okay. So, a couple of things here. So this project does meet the minimum technical requirements for the scenic corridor, but there were some comments that we wanted to add to the record from the checklist. Give me one moment. It appears that the applicant proposed a color that is not an approved Munsell color. The lighting letter, with regards to lighting standards, the lighting letter indicates no change to the lighting. However, the architectural plans show new exterior wall lighting, and the applicant needs to clarify that. And finally, as it relates to section 6.11.9D for landscaping of vehicular use areas, crepe myrtle must be a minimum of 15, which I believe that's a type of plant. It must be a minimum of 15 feet in height to qualify as an understory tree. Hibiscus, Syriacus, Diana, Juniperus, and so on and so forth. Other plants listed there are not allowed in the scenic corridor. So it appears that for the most part, the applicant has met most of the minimum technical requirements, but we asked the board to take into consideration some of those outstanding comments that are listed in the scenic corridor review checklist and attachment B. So do you have any questions for me?
I know that Tim reviewed this one, but we discussed, Tim and I, the need or the request to include some additional planting into the scenic corridor buffer area.
Correct.
To enhance
correct.
that and bring it closer to what code is, since
Yeah.
it's not actually would be compliant with code, just due to the space constraint.
Yeah, staff wants to make a recommendation to enhance that buffer.
So that was, I just wanted to, I didn't know if he had mentioned that one or not to you.
And it's my understanding that DRB could make that a condition of approval for this particular project or future projects, even though the code does not require this.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for staff?
I'm not sure if this question is for staff or for you, Madam Chairman, but procedurally, how would we best go if we wanted to move this forward? I think the project overall is a great enhancement to this particular shopping center. But some of those deficiencies, the lighting and things like that, I think do need to be addressed before we could give it full approval. So do we continue the project? Do we approve it contingent on those things being approved by staff, or?
I guess it feels on our comfort level for what we feel like we can have staff approve if it's a simple thing. I think I'm curious about the color, if they just selected something that wasn't even in the realm, or if it's just one of those where they need Sherman-Williams to match up. So maybe that could be a discussion point. The compliance part, I mean, I feel like their landscape architect can pick plants and staff can approve that one. I don't have any issues on that. And I feel similarly about the lighting. If we know it's on the building, it's pack lighting. To me, that's not as big of a concern as additional parking lot lighting. So to me, I would have no problem making that a condition for staff. But I'm curious everybody else's opinion on what that is. So we can continue that discussion if you.
Okay.
All right. Anything else for staff? All right, thank you. Is our applicant present tonight? Okay, would you like to come up? Well, we don't think we've got you can prop them. Yeah.
And we
Happen to have that color with you?
Yeah.
Yay, thank you.
Here are colored elevations.
You'll make sure that Karen gets a copy of those, and when you get back to the microphone, if you'll make sure that you do your name for her and everything else there.
I'm Tyler Patterson with
I'll share it with
SCGV
Jonathan. You can look at yours and
111 Santa Rosa LLC.
Oh, wait.
that wasn't on there, was it?
Were these previously provided to staff, these color elevations? No, they were not provided, okay.
But these are the colors referenced in the documents that were provided.
They were not.
Oh.
I guess we referenced colors from the Munsell Book of Color, not the Munsell Book of Nearly Neutrals collections, which the county has both, so we were confused. So we just referenced whites and grays from
The wrong book.
the wrong book.
Have you been able to go back and select colors that are
Correct, yep.
appropriate?
You can see it, it's the upper left-hand side of what you have in your hands. It shows what we submitted versus what's shown now.
Okay, so this has already been updated for
Correct,
that?
yep.
Okay. All right, thank you for clearing that up. Did you have anything else you wanted to add first, or are you just open for questions?
I'm open for questions.
So signage is not a part of this package.
Correct.
Are you interested in creating a master sign plan?
Correct, yep.
Are interested in doing that? We would really appreciate
Yes.
doing the master sign plan.
Yeah, it's a cart and horse. We have to have this approved before we can put together our master signage plan.
Okay. Well, we appreciate that coming back in, so that will be helpful. I think you will also find it helpful moving forward.
So will our tenants, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I do have a question real
Go ahead.
quick. The Thai restaurant, what's gonna happen with the awning there?
Right now it's shown as staying.
It's staying? Okay.
Metal seam roof or what?
Correct.
To go back to staff's concerns about updating the landscape,
Yes.
for the scenic corridor area that would be in, where you have the existing hedgerow, which says hedgerow to remain, are y'all interested in enhancing that to be more consistent with what a new project would be expected to do? I know
Yes.
you're limited in space, but I think that you can still achieve a layering effect with some ground covering and some grasses I think you have plenty of room to do at least that, to get closer to what we would anticipate. I don't know that it necessarily has to be canopy trees consistent with the requirement, but I think an enhancement would be appreciated since you're doing the facelift on the structures. Would that be something that you would be okay doing?
Sure,
as a
yep.
Condition. And then the lighting. There is pack lighting on the building, is that correct?
Currently, yep.
So that is a change that needs to be updated with staff.
Right, as far as the lighting letter is concerned, they just included it with the building plan submittal.
I think that covers a lot of the staff's concerns.
Is the sconce lighting that's added to the, that's new and that's being added to the columns?
Correct, yep,
Is that a down only or up and down?
up and down.
We're allowed to have the up.
I don't think we are. I think it's only down. Is that correct?
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
I know
Yeah.
we had a project where it was only limited to down. I'm pretty sure.
I think you might be right.
I think there was a photometric submitted, so it might have captured that. There was no comments.
I'm pretty sure we don't allow down up lighting.
Ayana, we don't allow down light, I'm sorry, we don't allow up lighting. I think it's full cutoff is the term that we require.
Building mounted down lighting only.
Well, I believe building mounted or pole mounted, all of it has to be full cutoff.
Okay,
So
There's,
that's 100,
right.
down.
There's ground mounted up lighting in this plan as well.
And where is that?
It's where the existing fountain is, or faux planter at the front of the site.
So there are changes, more changes to the lighting plan.
I think the faux planter has lights on it as it is.
Yeah, the staff report says lighting letter indicates no change in lighting. However, the architectural plans show the exterior wall lighting, so.
Well, there's just low voltage that they're adding, in the,
Okay.
uplighting on the trees.
So as a procedural question, I guess if you, Madam Chairman, if you don't mind me addressing a
Yeah, go
question
ahead.
to the applicant.
Yeah.
How important it is, in the grand scheme of the project, to try to walk out of here with some sort of approval today versus us giving you lots of feedback and continuing it to the next meeting?
Extremely important to
Okay.
receive some sort of further staff level approval.
Are you headed, is this project headed to planning board for any reason?
It is not, that
Yeah.
we're the final stop on it. It's a less than minor,
Minor,
so,
okay.
they are, we are here. And if I'm not mistaken, you were on the agenda last month, but failed to notice, and so it was bumped. That's
Yeah.
deferral, so.
I mean, I think everything we're talking about, color, lighting, and that type of thing, is all late in the project. It's not, doesn't affect footprint, doesn't
Yeah.
affect the scope, and probably doesn't affect the building permit a whole lot, so.
They'll still come back to us for master signage plan.
Yeah, so
Correct.
they're gotta come
Yeah.
back anyway, so. It's, if we could just pull all those items out as, I'd be most comfortable, since there's so many of them, to just have the applicant come back to us rather than try to craft language that staff then reviewed it.
For which pieces? For all of it, or for?
I think I mean, we can't approve uplighting unless
Right.
we have a variance request, so.
I don't, does it actually say, it says shielded, full cutoff. But I think it says shielded as long as you're not spilling over to adjacent properties or onto the,
And I think I was trying to remember which project it was that we talked about the building lighting so much, and I think that it was.
you know,
I think it was. I want to say it was a fast food restaurant, wasn't it? Or something that it was going to be a lot of lighting, like architectural lighting.
trying to look it up right now.
There's,
just-
Sure.
the building directly across the street has column mounted lanterns that face up. Glass that would light up as well.
Oh, across the street from here?
Across the street from.
Oh,
this-
from you guys,
Yep.
okay, I was gonna say,
Well, one of two things happened. Either it was in the code that it was allowed at that time, or they requested a variance,
Okay.
Or they just did it.
or they just did it and now they're,
Yeah.
no one caught them.
I mean, practically speaking, if it's a relatively small amount of light and a narrow beam, there's overhangs above every one of them, so it wouldn't necessarily be a dark sky issue. It's just trying to be consistent with our
Mm-hmm.
code.
I don't know. I think that we would be looking at seeing the landscape plan again if we're gonna be enhancing the scenic corridor buffer. I don't know. Do we specifically not allow low voltage uplighting for trees? 'Cause I don't know that, I think it's just building lighting that's discussion. Yeah. We've got low voltage
but I
everywhere.
think,
It's not in the buffer.
Yeah,
I think we prohibit like uplighting of the building from like, you know, shining on the whole building. I think a sconce that's shielded as these are, I don't think it falls into that category. I think it says shielded or full cutoff. But it's basically all about not spilling light
right.
out.
For compliance.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with staff doing that one. I don't, but.
They can change lights if they have to. We can make a motion.
Just to interject and follow up on David Bailey's comment, it does say within Chapter 5 of the code that within the scenic corridor designated roadways, all lighting fixtures shall be either semi-cut-off or full cut-off light fixtures, but I can't find anything within the Chapter 6 scenic corridor requirements as to whether that is downward facing or upward facing in terms of that cutoff. So maybe there's something, maybe Tim might know. But I just wanted to add that. Oh, it looks like.
And they're really good looking lights.
I mean, if we can make a straight-faced argument that the roof overhangs provide the cutoff,
Is there a section through there? Sure there is, right? The
uh,
column?
yeah, in the main packet, not in the hard copy. on this sheet here, you can see in the side elevation, there's a pretty significant overhang.
Okay, gotcha.
Just a random question for the applicant. Earlier it was asked about the awnings at the Thai restaurant. And not to pick on them, but when the previous tenant prior to the Thai restaurant tenant that's there now enclosed that one bay, and I'm sure when you were working through this, you can see that that one bay has always looked a little bit out of place. Obviously to ask that space is there, I'm not arguing with that at all. But is that material getting a facelift to be consistent with everything you're doing? Because there's always been this piece, it looks like they hired me to come do it over a weekend to enclose those few columns. You guys are doing a pretty substantial facelift on the building, so I just want to make sure that that piece is brought to really feel integral of the building by the time this is all said and done.
I don't think I can address that properly. I think the awning's the tenant's property, so I don't believe we're touching it.
Okay, so that brings up another question, because you mentioned earlier that the awning was staying the same, but I asked if it was gonna be metal, because a couple of the other roof overhangs are metal. I'm not seeing a call out on it, and it is just shown as gray on the here, and there's no mention of it or a fabric awning or fabric on the color chart. So when
It's
you
just
say
meant to
it's
be-
just gonna stay the same, what does that mean to you? Like, you're not
Does
changing,
it-
it's gonna be green, cause it's
Exactly.
green,
Yep.
isn't it green? Yeah.
I mean, the green awning, I mean, already the awnings don't match anything else
Right,
on the
right.
building, but the color is now not matching everything that you guys are doing for the entire complex.
And it feels like a misdirection that it's shown as gray on your elevations and not identified or called out in any way. Architecturally, if you look at the facade there on that section of the building too, there's nothing that would indicate that it is different at all today.
What's to keep them from redoing awning? I mean, the building isn't
I mean-
owned, the building isn't owned by the Thai space.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's part of the facade. It should be
They-
updated with part of the,
Right,
Yeah.
I mean, I know you say that you don't have any control, but the landlord does. I mean, the restaurant doesn't own the awning.
I mean, not to be acting as your attorney, but most leases prohibit people from doing illegal things, and if that wasn't approved, it's illegal, so it has to be removed. The landlord has the authority, unless they have a crazy lease that doesn't have that clause in it, but I don't think I've seen one of those in a long time.
several years ago, it was in very bad repair, and the tenant changed it to a red awning and got code cited and had to come before the board. We did not approve the red awning, and it was replaced with the green color that's there currently. But if you're doing a whole facade redo and you're gonna leave up an old awning that doesn't match now, I think that's completely defeating your purpose.
The piece that I maybe missed, did the DRB approve the green awning as a variance?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Who was the
And from
applicant
my-
on that?
From my
It
recollection,
wasn't
Get my
as,
comment.
It had to go back to what it was, I think is all.
it
Yeah.
went back to what it
It
was. It wasn't a variance request because it was returning to the grandfathered
Fathered
color.
option.
Oh, okay. I follow, okay. Forget my comment.
But no, I mean, if you look at the facade of that building, you know, you have similar spaces all the way across, and the previous Italian restaurant tenant went in and like basically tore out all the glass and put in these arched openings that like painted plywood for the most part.
And that's what you asked about, if it was gonna get updated?
That's what I was asking, if that was gonna get updated.
Did you answer that?
I did. It's not going to get updated with this plan.
Okay. So these are the windows you're talking about that are arched? That
So
inside?
these elevations are not true to actual.
If you wanna
So
ask that quick.
Yeah, so I think what the board is trying to
This-
figure out
because
is,
you
are your
said-
elevations actually true to what this is gonna look like?
This
Made
was
more
here
sense.
Because
the
if you're not
windows were-
updating the existing spaces, then they won't look like this.
I've never
I
been
mean,
that
they've never
close to
said
it.
that, but you can.
Okay.
I don't know how to reference like the storefronts and tenant property, like the Outcast Bar and Seafood, wherever that is.
On the A06.1.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn around. I think it's just more or less our improvements for a frame of reference. The remainder of the building's untouched, existing conditions.
That makes no sense, what you just said.
I followed it. I think I'm now leaning towards continuing the item. What we really need is the packet to include the existing conditions, or probably with, it's almost like a demo plan concept where you indicate with a dash line where the work's happening and where it's not.
They have that in the larger packet, just not in this.
Or any of the stuff that was submitted to us, because we don't have that, so we
Don't have-
can't make those determinations.
To get something that we can visually see, so we know what the idea is to actually look like in person, not like a hypothetical of one day when everybody's awnings match everybody's building.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we're asking for with the demolition and or,
I haven't reviewed the tenant's lease if if we have the right to renovate it or anything like that, so.
you have the right to show elevations that are accurate. And what you're showing on the plan that you submitted to us is deceptive because it appears that you are updating the facade and the awnings in that one location and who knows where else to be consistent across the elevation. And you're telling us verbally that that's not the case. So one is correct or one is not correct. I don't care whose it is. I'm telling you, what you're submitting to us is not what you're verbally telling us you're gonna do. So what do you want us to approve?
We're just going up, this is like on color right now though, right?
Well,
Okay.
if
But
it's
if you
color
look
or
at-
material, I
But
don't,
if you look at the demolition plan on A05 and then you go over to A06, but you're saying you're not changing the facade on A05, but in A06 you are. So I guess what we're saying is, what are you changing, what are you keeping, and make that clear in the elevations.
Okay,
You understand? Because it's gonna have to mesh somehow, and
I guess it's really just like the narrative of the project is to rework the parapet and standing seam metal roof across the canopy. And then update paint and column mounted sconces. We're not trying to improve existing conditions across storefronts. We're really remaining above the canopy level. And then additionally, the column lighting, as well as trying to update landscaping best we can. Generally improve the aesthetic of the shopping center. I'm more than happy to go back and look at the tenant's lease and see if we have the right to remove or upgrade the canopy that serves the Thai restaurant, but I just don't know at this time, and that wasn't brought into our scope for, let's call this phase 1 of the project. You know, phase 2 is we're going to go through and enhance the remainder.
I acknowledge that what you guys are doing is like improving this property, and I appreciate that. And I don't want to hold you up, but I would ask that you go to your client, the landlord, and ask him about like that specific item. Because when I look at this, you know, that already is different than what he's got going on across the property. And I know that I've been down here long enough to know that that occurred under a past tenant. But it seems silly to me that he would put this kind of money into improving the project and not address that item, which is currently got some of the eyesore that needs to be corrected.
Okay,
So if he's going to change the color, at minimum, he needs to, if the tenant's not gonna do it, he needs to change the color of that awning to match the color packet that he's submitting to us. We can't change the color across the whole building and let these green awnings that now completely make no sense, remain. If they're gonna keep those awnings, he needs to at least put new canvas on them to bring them into this new color palette. Cause that color isn't showing in the colors that are being submitted.
okay, yeah, I mean, that's a super easy item
Okay.
for us to address. I don't want to get continued because of the,
And that's what I'm saying,
Awning.
I'm trying to find a way to not, to let you get some work going forward.
thank you, yeah. We're more than happy to upgrade the awning. We just don't have it in this scope of above canopy work.
Well, I'll say from what I recall with the awning, and I do remember this pretty well, it's an FF&E, so it's the tenant's responsibility, so you'll have to address that like you just said,
Right,
because she was told one thing and showed up in here and had to do another thing.
right.
So,
Yeah, I mean, it's likely out of our
Fine.
purview, but
yeah.
we're happy to approach a
bought it.
tenant to
Yeah.
renovate it. Is there a particular color you would like? Because I was also thinking that with the master signage plan to incorporate green, an approved green into that. But I don't have to do that if that's not,
We do not have the ability to dictate what colors you can use on your sign face.
okay,
So if that is going to be incorporated into your sign face, that's not gonna be a purview for us to determine colors or content. But if there's going to be, like, for example, your monument sign, the structure around the monument sign, does have to be with the same architectural intent, color palette, materials as the rest of your building. So, if that was what you were looking at, creating
Sure.
green, that would not necessarily match up, right? But the sign face content itself, like this logoing or whatever, would not fall under that purview. That would be under the signage allowance. So wouldn't necessarily have to be a deviation or something that's included there.
yeah, I mean, we would affix the tenant's existing sign to this building if our master signage plan isn't approved. And I believe the tenant's signage is likely green that matches the awning.
I would, my preference would be is those are the only awnings on this entire extent, that they should be a color that matches one of the colors you just submitted. Understanding that with canvas awnings, typically they want to lean towards the darker color, so you're not seeing staining on it. I would ask them to match the metal coping,
Okay,
which I think is your darkest color that you submitted, which is kind of a dark blue-gray. Because everything in your palette is, you know, is a white, gray, blue. Everything's in that gray-blue field. That green is, yeah, if you,
MTL2.
I mean, just having that one green awning on the building just doesn't match this color, you know, scheme that you've submitted. But I would ask that they, you know,
sure, okay, we can
work
make
in
that
that
happen.
color field.
Too easy.
I feel like that has to be a condition of an approval.
But we're not seeing existing green on here at all.
Correct.
So what we're approving is this color palette and this color palette only today.
If we approve. Yeah, I agree with that.
That's really where it stands.
And the
is that
condition.
This is what you've submitted and the condition is if you have something up, go ahead, Kelly.
I was gonna say, it's shown as being gray, the dark gray color on the elevation. And I think that has to be a condition,
Yes.
for me, it has to be a condition of approval that whatever you guys need to work out, you need to work out, but our approval would have to be conditioned on the fact that when you match this elevation, that you have the dark gray canopy. My opinion on that,
I would agree.
I just don't think that it's responsible for us to leave it not addressed. And it does worry me that that's one we know about, because it's one that is a sore thumb that we know about. And I just hope there's not anything else that's on here that is being misrepresented.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know if this will help, but my understanding of the reason for the way our code is structured is that as long as all of the tenants in a development and all of the developments going down 98 have this subdued range of colors, nobody's jumping out more than anyone else. As soon as you have one property that uses a garish color to attract attention, now everybody else is at this disadvantage, and we start having all this pressure. I want to have a bigger sign. I want to have that type of stuff. I mean, and way back from when I previously served on the DRB, we had, I can think of 2 or 3 projects where we approved a variance to allow a larger sign, and the number of variance requests that came in after that in the same vicinity trying to have as large a sign, it almost got away from us. So I hate it that, again, as I said earlier, I think this is it's an improvement. We hope it turns out looking like the renderings. They look nice. But it's tough for us to approve something and then discover, those loud garish things that we thought were going away weren't in fact going away. So that'll help you with talking to that tenant to explain what we're after.
Anyone have any other questions of our applicant?
Madam Chairman, you rattled off a pretty concise list.
If we're done with him, I'm gonna let him sit down and.
Oh, sure.
we can-
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Good, thank you. Is anyone else from the audience want to speak on this one? Okay, and seeing none. All right, didn't mean to interrupt you, but yeah.
Okay, no, that's okay. Yeah, no, that's
Just wanted to make sure my check mark before we moved on.
Yeah, you knew where I was headed.
Yeah.
So earlier, you described a fairly concise list of items that you thought needed to be contingencies. I'm
Yep,
interested in making a motion, but I don't know that I could do as good a job of
Well,
describing
let's
that
go
list.
down through them real quick. So this was based off of what staff had requested in their staff report as things that needed to be tied up, plus the discussion that Tim and I had about the scenic corridor planting, which would not necessarily be updated unless we require that as an additional condition. It's a little bit of an abbreviated area, and currently the plan calls out that they're just going to maintain the hedge that's there and the existing island trees. I think there's enough room, and I think there's enough intent not to bring in the full corridor planting, but to enhance that in some way. At least add another layer with ground coverings or grasses or something in front of that hedge. So the list that we had was lighting. We've determined that there is the additional lighting, so that would be having staff make sure that it was accounted for and met the correct cutoffs. The Munsell colors, and he's supplied that so that we have that. And then the only addition on the Munsell color piece would be the canopy. And I guess to state that, as submitted, all of the elements here are shown in the correct color scheme, so it would have to be whatever's here. So if there's anything that we don't catch besides the canopy, it needs to match the elevation that was provided. And then there were some items in the landscape plan that weren't consistent with the scenic corridor landscape. So I would just suggest that their landscape architect replace those, and I think those are easy enough replacements that staff can confirm those without us needing to see that.
So, Karen, did you capture all of those things? Okay. And then just to clarify, so the motion if it were my intent to make a motion to approve the project with those contingencies, the contingency is that staff review those items and verify that the project is compliant with the regulations. It's not, there's no implication of a variance or an allowance for a deviation.
Correct. Because we can't approve that without that being duly noticed. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, well, I'm ready to make a motion, but I don't want to prevent anyone else from making comments.
Does
Public
anyone feel
comment?
consistent with that, or?
Take public comment?
I
Oh, we
did.
did, that's
Yeah,
right.
that's why I
Okay.
cut him off.
All right, okay.
So-
Yeah. In that case, I will move the approval of the Santa Rosa Plaza application with the contingencies that have been previously noted, with the understanding that staff will review all of those contingencies for full compliance with the Land Development Code.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and that one passes. Karen, did you get a copy of the elevations? Okay. Here, I'll,
I bet she needs that too.
Yep.
I don't think she got that.
all right. Number 5.
Okay, item 5, Shades at Miramar Beach. This is a request to approve by development order, project number MIN 25000142. It was reviewed by Tim Brown. This is a minor development order application submitted by Interlake Engineering Corporation on behalf of Eastside Plaza Properties LLC, requesting approval for minor modifications to the existing site and building to include a new service yard on the north side of the building and the addition of a covered porch on the east side of the building on 0.89 plus or minus acres with the future land use of mixed use in a zoning category of coastal center. The property is in District 4 at 8670 West US Highway 98 and can be identified by the parcel number in your staff report. May I enter the staff report, well, into the record?
Yes, so noted.
Thank you. So based on what was provided in this application, the project does meet the minimum technical requirements for US Highway 98 and 331 scenic corridor design standards. I'm not seeing any outstanding comments in the scenic corridor review checklist, so staff doesn't have any further comment or concern, but if you have questions for me, I'm here. If not, I can defer to the applicant.
Questions of staff? Okay, thank you. Is our applicant here? How are you?
Doing well. How are you all doing?
Doing good.
Good to see everyone. I'm David Smith with Interlake Engineering. I'm the civil engineer on the project, and I'm also here with William Rivera. He's with DAG Architects.
Okay.
Do just a very brief overview, if that's okay.
That'd be
and then
great,
we would
yes.
be more than happy to answer any questions that you all may have of us.
Please do.
This property is the site of the Applebee's in Sandestin. So that was built back in the 80s. I think everyone's familiar with that location. I know we all drive by it. And so what we are proposing is Shades at Miramar. And this is the site plan. This is US 98 for reference.
David, if you don't mind, just to make sure you get in the microphone. We have a hard time keeping the record. Yep, there you go.
Once I go, I move and.
I
all
know,
that.
It's
But,
hard. It's hard when you're presenting, but I know Karen will scold me if I don't mention it.
But the site plan, this is 98 for reference, so the building is remaining. This is a building renovation, which William will present the colors and the aesthetics of the building here shortly. The site is basically remaining the same, and as staff presented, we are adding a service yard to the north, and we're also adding a canopy for outdoor seating here on the east side. Parking lot's remaining. We are removing one parking space here, and then there's another parking space here that we're removing as well. We're adding a grease trap just to upgrade the facility in this location, but essentially, site staying the same. We did submit a landscape plan. You will see that we are refreshing the landscaping as well. And so now I will turn it over to William to present the building and go over the aesthetics, and then we'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
Thank you. Anything
Thank you.
for David before he sits down? All right,
Thank you all.
thank you.
Hello, I'm William Rivera with DAG Architects. One thing I want to, I guess, clarify is the service yard. We're expanding the service yard as opposed to adding one. We're adding about 150 square feet to the existing service yard to accommodate equipment back there. So, as David mentioned, this is the current Applebee's. I think we know what that looks like. The client, Shades, who already owns Shades in Inlet Beach, is taking over this property, so I'll be upgrading it with corridor-approved coloring. We have a nice white that fits within the design guidelines for the corridor, a standing seam wooden porch that or roof that we're adding to the facade. And on the east side, we're grabbing a little bit of landscape and turning it into a covered porch for additional seating. And that construction will be very similar to this. In your packets, there should be a view of the east side as well. So these are basically it. Any wood timbers would be a sort of a natural shade. I found a commercially available Minwax color that's in the ballpark of what we're after.
Is signage on the building in the request tonight, or is that coming back separately? Okay, thank you. Any questions for our applicant? All right, thank you. Does anyone from the audience want to speak on this one, number 5? All right, and seeing no one, any discussion? I know. It's going to be a great improvement.
Hear me.
Yeah,
This is like right in my backyard. I'm like, thank God.
yeah. This is going to be a nice facelift for that area.
Yeah. It's been close for, I know, the Shades has been a rumor for a hot minute in the community, so.
I do have a question that I probably should have directed to the applicant, but is the lighting that's shown on the plans, is that all existing or is it new?
Sorry, just need to make sure we keep it on the record.
The existing light poles, and we're replacing the bulbs, but they are,
No real increase in the number of lights or
No,
amount
sir.
of lights?
No,
Okay,
sir.
great. Thank you.
thank you.
I don't have anything. I like it. It's gonna look good.
I do have one other question.
Yeah.
The landscaping, there's quite a few, there's some mature trees on the property. Are those being retained in the new plan?
They are, we're freshening the landscaping around the building, but we are keeping the existing vegetation. I did bring the landscape plan as well, but, there's a lot of parking on the property that's grandfathered in that we are keeping, so we are adding the shrubs, and where we can, we're adding additional landscaping. But all of the vegetation around the perimeter, those are the existing trees that we're keeping.
Okay.
And we're just enhancing as we can around the parking lot facility.
Yeah, everything that's shown on is grayed out on the plan.
They're keeping
It's existing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're supplementing where we can.
Awesome, that's great.
Got it.
Good
All right.
news. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think this is a great example of what we were talking about on the last project, where the applicant is
100%, yeah.
um,
Enhanced where they could.
enhancing even though it was existing. So it's great.
All right. Does anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve agenda item number 5, Shades at Miramar Beach.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm.
Last item, item number 6, Hotel Rain Inlet Beach. So this is a request to approve by final order, project number MAJ 25000038. It was reviewed by Tim Brown. This is a major development order application submitted by McNeil Carroll Engineering, Inc., on behalf of Rosemary Lodging LLC, requesting approval to add a parcel to the 38 Avenue development, construct a 78-unit hotel with parking garage and associated infrastructure on 3.34 plus or minus acres, with a future land use of mixed use in a zoning category of village mixed use. The property is in District 5 at 12805 US Highway 98 East, and is identified by the parcel numbers in your staff report. May I enter the staff report into the record.
Yes, so noted.
So with that being said, I had a chance to chat with Tim and staff. I haven't been up to date with this project, but there were some things that needed to be stated on the record in terms of just a summary of what's been going on with the Hotel Rain project and the Inlet Beach Neighborhood Plan. So I'll proceed now. The Inlet Beach Neighborhood Plan was not approved at the January 27th, 2026 BCC meeting. It was continued to the February 26th, 2026 BCC meeting. However, unofficially, we have heard that the neighborhood would like to remove the 30 Avenue development out of the neighborhood plan, which would protect the rest of Inlet Beach from any additional hotel development. Based on the county attorney's opinion given at multiple county commission meetings, regardless of the error in the Inlet Beach neighborhood plan, hotel use is an allowable use in the village mixed-use zoning category in Inlet Beach. In addition, if there is a gray area in the code, legally, the county has to err on the side of the applicant. So I just wanted to make sure that I stated that on the record. And with that being said, according to the staff report that's in front of me here, it meets the minimum technical requirements for the scenic corridor standards. Do you have any questions for me or for Stephen? If not, I can defer to the applicant.
I do have a question for staff. I had sent an email to Stephen, and Tim with a question about the existing preservation area that's required. And I would appreciate maybe an explanation on the record for that question.
I'll defer to Stephen on that since you've had correspondence with him and Tim.
Unfortunately, I did not look into that question.
Okay.
I did defer to Tim. I think you saw that response too.
I have a little bit of information on that one.
Okay.
Not much, but I caught Tim before he headed out from the office today. So that has not been determined yet, that they are still working through the environmental comments to determine if there is preservation to buy out, and if so, what that total area would be and all, and that's something that is in process that they have not yet resolved.
Okay.
Is that your understanding? Is that?
That is
Okay.
my understanding. I don't have any firm answers, but I will say if it is established that, there is a portion of the site that is dedicated preservation and it's being impacted, that it will be up to the applicant to demonstrate the ability for them to buy out that additional area and or remove any improvements out of that area. We certainly wouldn't let it proceed in violation of any previous development orders in that way or other.
Okay. So, what I'm trying to establish is this body's role in checking this. So, just because some of you probably don't know what I'm talking about, the overall 30 Avenue site has a kind of what I would describe as an L-shaped piece of preservation area. It runs up the east side, a lot of the east side of the property, and then across the north side of the property. It happens, the Ohana School that I'm a big fan of appears to have cleared about an acre of the preservation area over the last couple of years. Some of it has hardscape improvements, most of it's ball field and that type of thing. But the way the documents are presented, it's part of this project. And so part of our purview is landscape, and this buffer zone provides a significant, it enhances the compatibility between this intensive use and the single-family residential around it. So I just want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence, our jobs in terms of making sure that the landscape is appropriate. So as long as there's some sort of mechanism to catch this and address that where the project's headed next, then I'm comfortable with that. But I want to be sure that we.
And I would like
we
to
are.
revisit that in our
Yeah.
in our discussion afterwards, because I have some thoughts on that.
Okay.
But, yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, we are aware, and we
Yep.
are working through that with the applicant, so we'll ensure that there is appropriate buffering, and that if there has been a violation in what is supposed to be preservation land, it will be addressed as well, so.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Would our applicants care to come up?
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Travis Holtzman. I'm an architect with Dale Partners. Come here before you on behalf of Rosemary Lodging LLC. And you'll have the drawings that you've familiarized yourselves with them. I was here a couple months ago for the first review before we got into the difficulties that we've had over the last couple months. I'm glad to see that things seem to be moving towards progress with the project. I've got some samples here that we can pass around if you'd like to know about the materials. If you can see on the elevations, it's a fairly simple palette, nearly white building, and then with a trim that is of this artificial wood material. There's many brands of it, but this one is called Knotwood, and all the kind of yellowish railings and trim that you see on the building are that. And then where we can't use this particular product, we intend to use a custom color match that essentially looks like for the storefronts, you know, metal, steel parts that can't be kind of framed in knotwood. If y'all have any questions, feel free to ask, and I'll.
I know we had a lot of comments on the aesthetics when we were here previously. Have there been any updates that you can share with us, or have there been no updates at all?
There were some updates. I think one of the biggest concerns that the board brought up was the garage, it being very white, it being directly behind the previously mentioned protected forested area. And in response, we suggest, or we propose that we install a stretched fabric system that essentially acts as a camouflage, breaking up the solid white mass of the building and making it a little less noticeable, especially from the street as you look through those pine trees. I think another question was particularly about lighting. There was a concern about light, how it might, particularly how are we going to light the top level of the parking deck, which was shown, I think, erroneously as some hanging fixtures, pretty difficult to do when it's on the top of the deck. We've changed that out with a pole-mounted fixture, which is similar to what's already in the parking lot adjacent, and keeping our lumen counts limited to the perimeter of the building, perimeter of the edge of the.
You were describing this fabric screen for the garage. Is that documented or shown anywhere? What that material is, or what it would look like? Anything in your package? Because I'm not seeing that.
On one of the building elevations of the garage, there's pretty large kind of green borders, and then there's a little picture. I realize maybe on the 11 by 17s it's really small, but in the kind of middle of the sheet there's a kind of a picture of.
Yeah, we don't have any of that.
That's all we have. Standard A204 elevation.
Oh. Sincerely hope I didn't put the wrong thing in the wrong book or print the wrong one. We've certainly been through a lot of revisions on this project, so.
Oh, holy hell. Yeah, so that's not what's depicted at all online, and we only have the one copy.
Yeah.
So, let's see.
And it's a mesh? I'm not familiar with that. I mean,
It's kind of a stretched fabric.
I know we had talked about a green screen on that wall too.
That's probably how I interpreted with that comment of green screen. So if that's something else besides a kind of a fabric mesh, I'm not aware of it.
Yeah, you have living facades on buildings, you know, in a lot of cities, like
That's
a
the
lot
only
of
copy
cities
we
in the
have,
South.
so we'll just start.
Oh, I see
Yeah,
what you
with
mean.
the
Green
list.
screen, you mean
Green plant
true
material.
plants,
Yeah,
living plants?
trellised material.
Like
yeah.
jasmine coming down the parking garage, and
See,
that's my
Yeah.
vision.
Were there other, do I need to look through this for other things that would have been revised and reflected that's not
well, if
reflected in our
it's,
set?
The lighting.
yeah, I'm sorry to say, I think if that elevation doesn't show that, then I must have printed the older version. I apologize.
Is, this happens quite a bit. You can start it right here. I've got, this one's going that way. So directed towards staff. Is this an issue with what's being uploaded or what's being submitted in the printed form? What? Provides both the hard copy and the digital file. This happens quite a lot, so, I don't think it's appropriately fair. Don't have everything publicly noticed, you know, that is viewable online for the public, especially for us to not be able to review it ahead of time.
So does that package you're looking at have a new photometric plan?
I'm looking
Oh,
for,
it's the last
Yeah.
couple sheets in the,
well, there's a whole bunch of elevations, graphic renderings that aren't. I'll pass the whole thing down, I'm sorry. But-
We don't have that in this packet.
Oh, that one came from Stephen? Is that your packet? It was staff's packet? Okay. You're welcome to take it.
That's, that green screen goes in that, down there, I believe, right?
No, that one
Oh, that
goes
was
in
in
this
here?
package.
Okay,
Yeah, we have two
okay,
packets
So
now.
are you recommending the same material that they use against highways? Just like this green mesh material?
No,
Or
it's,
like along tennis court, like
no, it's much
type?
nicer. It's like, if you look up, I just looked up the brand, that TexClad.
Texclad, textile
Um,
screening band.
There's a lot of pictures online of it being used in this application.
And I do think that one of the options is sort of like a mossy oak looking, very convincing camouflage.
So the issue is that there's not a lot of tree cover in the quote-unquote preservation area. It's not dense, it's not thick, it's not screening of the garage at all. And especially if it's gonna be impacted by further removal of whatever vegetation is there. And hopefully staff will take into account that you will also need, easement into that for your construction if you're, you know, can't just stop it at your edge of your deck. But
Excuse me.
the way our preservation code was written didn't take into account plant density or number of trees or anything like that. It was just, hey, preserve this existing habitat, which has caused a whole bunch of other problems on its own. So to me, I don't think that provides, I mean, it's almost like there's no screening, especially when you get over one story, in my opinion. So I see a monolithic wall of concrete or stucco, is gonna be what your main visibility is gonna be coming down 98. And I have a problem with that, especially with as much texture and as much good architecture as there is along this corridor. It's not fitting, and I don't think it does any justice to the development or to the community. And I know that structured parking can be done well. I know that you can add architectural elements to it to vary the facade, vary the line, create fenestrations on it that are not your vertical slats. There's a lot that can be done architectural, especially with as much intent as you put into the facade of that hotel. Leaving this feels like a complete afterthought. And there's so many things, and I thought we were clear when we were here last time about how important it was that there was something done. I'm not sold on mesh. I haven't looked up the brand, but
No, my
looking
idea
at
is
it.
an actual green screen, like,
Yeah, I'm looking at this. I mean, thank you for providing something, but I don't think that this is what the community's looking for or this board when it comes to this. You know, I think Chairwoman, giant white wall with slats in it right now that's huge. I mean, could they do a totally different color on the backside against the landscape that's not white?
there's not a lot of landscape there, but
And-
possibly. I mean,
Right, but at least it wouldn't be white and tall and standing out. And then also put greenery, actual live greenery.
And I think that there can be some relief in the architecture. I don't think it has to be completely flat. I
You want
think
texture.
I think there has to be. I mean, you've got to have some kind of shadow line, some kind of relief on that huge elevation. I mean, if you look
We're
at
talking about the north side of the
Stick to the
garage
north
there,
side.
right? Is that the concern of,
North side is the one we asked for screening.
for screening, yeah.
Correct.
That
But
abuts
I
the
mean,
preservation.
because the other, I mean, like the south side, I would say, in my opinion, the hotel blocks any view of it from the corridor.
yeah, I can
Correct.
see that. But that, I still
'Cause-
think you're going to
'cause-
see it. I think you're going to see that
Through the pine
Oh,
trees on
yeah,
the
but-
backside.
there's not a lot of vegetation. I mean, I know
It's
you
not.
drive it every day, and it.
No, it's not very thick. My main concern was the neighborhood directly behind there and light. You know, having a garage that has to meet a minimum amount of foot candles. And if you had a house that backs right up to a park that was supposed to be, you know, something
Yeah.
else, now you have a parking garage. So my concern of screening was more for light than anything else. And I don't know the specs on the screen of what it's providing. I do think, as Kelly mentioned, with some shadow play, some architectural play of that facade, and maybe that along with integration of some screening and material or something is nice. But that's really, me personally, my concern is that to the neighborhood, and that's this south side. I have no concern on.
talking about this
Into
side.
the correct.
Yeah, because that's the neighborhood, okay.
Just for our discussion, following up on the upper level of the deck, the lighting levels have been brought down in the packet that we've been circulating here. The lighting levels on the intermediate, the intensity of light on the intermediate levels is still extremely high in some places. But, so I think that the concern that there could be light emanating from the openings in the garage is very valid to the north. But thank you for the improvement on the upper deck.
Pleasure.
A better way of asking be to have more like of a living green. Be, I mean, could we mitigate some of the loss of trees and shrubs and plants, and maybe do, like, I just Googled green parking system in a city. Some with jasmine coming down, there's some with bamboo in Tokyo, some with natural native plants, which is great for rosemary and seaside. But I would have heartburn with approving a massive white wall parking garage structure. I just don't feel like it fits with the coastal vibe at all without sort of mitigate the loss of conservation.
It's possible. I mean, I've
That would be
seen
my-
them. There's a lot of options for that type of thing. It won't be first day, and it's not going to,
I mean, as the representative of the owner, I think we can look into a green screen, a living screen as an option.
That would be great.
you're not
we
interested,
certainly
you're not
will.
interested in looking at any architectural changes to the structure, adding any relief lines or,
Yes, ma'am, we certainly are. I think just to kind of just to repeat back what the comments that I've received to make sure that I understand them. The parking garage is still a little ugly, and it needs to be given a certain amount of texture to make it more comparable to the design of the hotel itself.
I think that would be a long way to help. I think last time I probably referenced the Avis storage units that are on the corridor. There's two separate buildings, and the architecture there went a long way, even though it's a storage building and it's not, it's not real windows. It's not, they did a good job of creating architectural rhythm and breaking up that massive facade. So you don't see a 3-story solid structure. It does have a lot more character. And I think that we have to see something like that. This is going to be so visible as you're driving down 98, as you're coming into the community. And there's been so much done to really create a unique and special architectural brand and feeling along that corridor. And it would just be a shame to lose that just because you've got a solid chunk of concrete and without any creativity to thought on that. It just doesn't match. And I don't see a way around that in its existing form. And I don't think it, in second, just above and beyond that, without that color, green being an approved color, I don't know that that's something we could even approve tonight. It would have to have been noticed as a variation, a deviation from your plan. So that's another concern that just from a procedure standpoint, I don't even think we could approve that. Staff, it wasn't mentioned in any way, so I think that's, wouldn't be in our abilities. So that's my 2 cents on the garage.
I want to
Yeah.
have 2 landscape architects here, so I want to raise a question. 3. With this being on the north side, how successful is a living green screen going to be? And what is the maintenance on those? I mean, I've seen some that are fantastic, but I don't know what's required for those to look that way. Because my only fear is if we asked for that.
Yeah.
I'm almost
Yeah,
like,
they would die.
I'd almost like to see where you're saying more architectural push and pull and some architectural screening, whether it's wood or some kind of, shadow line play. But,
I don't have any in Florida. Do you have any in Florida?
push and pull of where you got your vertical columns in there and the long horizontals, maybe they're set back on a different plane. And then in between these vertical columns, we're putting in some architectural screening of some sort. But just dressing up that building, because my only fear is if we ask for a living screen, is that it's not maintained.
The north
and then
side
it's,
is the hardest for light, it's true. because
Okay.
it is the lowest light and, you know, we're on an east-west corridor.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like Kelly's idea about breaking this up. I'm looking at some examples of some of these screens. I'm seeing some in more of like a sky color, which is actually very appealing because it mimics the sky in the background. You can't, there are some vines that you could probably get to grow up a trellis maybe in between something like this, or I don't think the whole thing would ever be green
No.
and stay green.
Okay.
You know, fig could get up there, but one hard frost and it's gonna brown out. It'll come back, but it also destroys stucco. So, combination of architectural elements and some sort of trellis structure. I don't know.
I mean, I could get away, I don't have to have the.
You can
the
also
green
use fig
screen.
plants.
Yeah, well,
And, I mean, we use them a lot where we have to, where we need the impact, and, you'd be surprised how realistic they look. They're also photodegradable because they're made out of plastic. So
Yeah.
it's like
I think a lot can be accomplished with
architecturally.
architectural change and a little bit of attention to that. You've enhanced the landscape a little bit around it. I would love to see a little bit more. You know, I know they've got some good attempt along the edge of that preservation area. I don't know how much flexibility you have with that. I know you probably can't plant anything in there per our current code, especially not something that wouldn't be habitat consistent. So depending on how much room you have to plant something, I don't know. Or if it would need to be along streetscape side, so. But I really think a lot can be accomplished architecturally. I mean, I've seen a lot of examples of it. And it doesn't take that much. I mean, that wouldn't be a deal breaker for your project to add a little bit of character to the facade of that. Especially since there's been so much detail and attention paid to the hotel. Just, it seems so stark to me.
I also, I mean, I see your landscape plan against the north side of the building here. I also think you guys could probably jazz that up quite a good bit, intermingling some other things in there to add some varietal and texture and color to break up this, at least the first 8 to 10 feet until they get a little bit taller. I mean, like Savannah hollies would be great. They mesh in, they go with your American holly. I mean, there's just, I think some more thought could be put into that. What do you think, Tyrone?
The concern that I have is the preservation limit.
Yeah.
Because that language from that old PUD and that preservation language is so limiting.
Right.
And it doesn't really serve the intent, I think, of what the preservation was attempting to do. And it's certainly not, I don't think it's fair to say that the preservation area is or ever would be a visual screen, because it's not intended.
It's a scrub area.
Well, it's not intended to be that first, and it's not. If a hurricane happens and those 5 pine trees are gone, they are under no obligation to put it back, because the preservation area is a no-touch zone as it's currently written. So.
You see where he's got all this sod back here on the north side?
Yeah, so
right up against the parking deck. That's never gonna live.
Right.
It's, I mean,
Especially, I mean, even the TIF turf. I mean, it's not gonna. But
oh, is it? Yeah, it's
but it's still not
better,
gonna,
but it's still
not gonna live.
still not gonna live. And right there with
but
all the shade.
you know, depending on how much space you actually have between your building and the beginning of your preservation area, I don't know what staff can allow or can do with that preservation area if the buyout is allowed to happen. You know, I don't know how much room you're gonna have before you get there, but I strongly believe that it's not a visual screen and it's not enough, and it's not enforceable. If anything happens to it, you know, you've got whatever you're required to have based on your code minimum or based on the plan that you've submitted, and 10 trees isn't really gonna do anything. So that's why I think you can successfully achieve a lot more with architectural interest. I'm gonna stop beating it, but I've monopolized the conversation. I didn't mean to.
Okay, so thank you.
I did have one other landscape plan comment. I meant to look to see if it had got updated while I was doing that. You've got some transformers adjacent to the corridor. And they previously weren't screened. It just had ground cover in front of it. So I was going to look at that in the new plan. Yeah. I'm assuming those are going to be large transformers that are on the front of the
Yes, ma'am.
hotel. If we could just have something in front of that other than Dune Sunflower, I think that would be a much better opportunity to screen it than a deciduous ground cover.
Understood.
Yeah. That was the only other concern that I had there. Did anybody wanna? Do we have any other questions of our applicant? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone from the audience want to speak on this one? All right, and seeing no one there. Anybody want to start conversation? I think we've
I was
had
a
a
a
lot.
fan of the living green screen, but not with it being on the north side like you guys talked about.
I
And it
mean-
makes sense. I didn't really think about that because I'm not a landscape architect, but I do think it needs to be architecturally something done. I mean, it's a nice development, and it's just a blank wall now. I don't,
Just the massing of it.
monolithic looking.
Yeah, exactly. And for the character that's created on that corridor, it just seems to be such a disservice to the neighbors and to everyone that's going to be driving that direction.
You want them to address the entire parking deck facades on both sides? Or are you just concerned with the north elevation?
To me, I think the important elevations are the north elevation and west. If they want to have a blank wall against their hotel and against the
Well,
interior of their
Now, the
hotel.
west wall, you could put a green screen on. You absolutely could put.
I mean, even if you just
Creepers
broke
up
that
there.
up with a couple of, architectural panels in the middle or something. I mean, I think you could do so much without a lot of difficulty. But yeah, that would be my only, I mean, to the interior of the development, I don't think it's going to be as visible or as impactful to the rest of the neighborhood.
So you're looking for this parking deck to mimic the character of the rest of the development, essentially.
Mimic's a hard word to define, but I think that the best way I could define that would be to
Or
have
aesthetically match it at least.
well, to have some, there's a lot of elevation change on the hotel. There's a lot of detailing, and none of that is replicated at all into this facade. And I think it could easily achieve some of that. I hate to,
Design character matching and as
Yeah.
if it's a part of the, because right now it just stands out as being a parking garage that has to be there because it has to serve the
Yeah,
community.
and I
Nothing more.
Yeah, and I don't feel like we have to be as restrictive as to provide actual, you know, we have to have 18 inches of relief, or we have to have, you know, this many sections every 50 feet or whatever. I think that is too restrictive when we've got actual professional designers and they've demonstrated that they can do decent facades. So, but I think that they have to come back with something. And I think it, you know, they've got a great rhythm and a great, so much character that they created in the building. And it would be very easy to replicate at least some of that into the parking garage. Whether it's the creation of the vertical rhythm that they've got going, the change in the parapet, adding some of the character detailing to the stairwells. I mean, there's a lot of option there.
There's a monolithic with a
Mm. Yeah,
I mean, imagine that in green, it'd be even worse.
yeah. I just,
It's not,
that's not the character that the corridor has created.
so no text.
I don't think that's gonna work out. I mean, you've got a lot that you can draw from architecturally if you're looking character-wise. I mean, I don't really think there's a necessary to beat it.
Are you asking to continue with a redesign of the elevation of the parking deck?
I have a hard time being able to vote to move it forward without being able to see and approve a better option for the garage. I know we're at the very beginning of the process, and time frame wise, I don't know how that works out. If they are able to go to planning commission and then come back and see us before the board, or if the planning commission is also going to want to see updated design on the garage, which I would assume they would.
So my understanding is that because this is a major, it would then need to go back to TRC, I believe, after DRB has made their decision, or if they're requesting to continue, it would then go back to TRC until comments are addressed. And then if everything is good to go, I would assume it would go back to you guys for another review. Then we would receive your recommendation. Then the next step would be planning commission, then special magistrate, then the board of county commissioners.
They haven't cleared TRC comments yet, though, right? They're still in the revision process for that?
I can check.
Is that correct?
So you are out. I was under the impression there were still outstanding comments. Additionally, okay.
Pending addressing outstanding comments, but I can pull that up really quickly and confirm for you.
Well, that's okay. I mean, if that's, seems like the preservation buyout confirmation would have. everybody else's opinion is. I think we know what mine is, but, I don't, I hate to delay for facade issues, but I mean, that's my opinion.
Well, I mean, let's
on
be
that.
honest, the community's not in love with this. The community's very much up in arms. And, I mean, I don't live in this area, but I do know that it's contentious right now, and I think we have to do everything we can to make sure that views, and, noise levels and light pollution levels and all those things are addressed. But I'll defer to my architects on.
So just to make a statement for your consideration here, they're not on planning commission agenda for February. So the earliest they'd be on would be March. That meeting is
we could come
after
back.
the next DRB meeting. So it wouldn't necessarily hold them up to ask to be heard at the next DRB meeting, followed by planning commission if all is well at that time.
That submittal cycle would be 2 weeks, is that correct, or 10 days from today?
For our reporting efforts, yeah, we
To-
would
For
need-
them to be able to be on the agenda?
We would need a
for
pretty
February.
quick turnaround, yeah. I mean, we can advertise it without the resubmittal, knowing that they would, but in order for staff to review properly, it would be a pretty quick turnaround regardless.
Is, for our applicant, given that, you would have to make a quick turnaround for facade changes on the garage, is that something that you guys would be able to react to or would be willing to react to so that we could keep you on track for the March Planning Commission?
I might understand that it would be 10 days. Is that approximately the?
You'd have to check the calendar.
Okay.
I look at a lot of submittal calendars. It's quick though, for you to be on the February agenda, but based on what Stephen just said, if that's your intention and they know that you're working towards that, they can go ahead and advertise. And if it comes in a little bit later, it still would be accepted.
I think that's possible.
That's possible. I don't think, I mean, you're not redesigning huge footprint moves or anything. I don't think it's,
If I understand correctly, it's addressing the
facade level.
north facade and the west facade in
yeah.
particular,
Yes.
bringing the level of design closer to what the hotel is expressing.
And at the very minimum, at least providing a little bit of architectural relief, and rhythm and like I said, I didn't really want to put specific parameters for that rhythm or, because I think you've got enough to work with, but, I think that's
I understand.
okay. Yeah. It's hard to articulate that without trying to hamstring you with too many restrictions for what to accomplish.
I don't think we're saying it has to match the hotel, but it should have the level of detail, that same just articulation.
Yes, I understand.
So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, if that would be agreeable, and, it sounds like that wouldn't delay your overall project schedule, if you could hit that, to be on our, what date is our March agenda meeting? March 5th. Okay, so based on what Stephen was saying is that knowing that that's coming back in, that we could still go ahead and advertise, keep it on the agenda, and that if it was a couple of days late, that it would still be accepted without the hard deadline, which was great. I appreciate staff's flexibility with that, because I know it's very quick. I mean, that seems like a great solution to me, if that's agreeable. Does anyone care to make that motion for the deferral to the March 5th agenda?
I'll move that we continue this item to the March 4th, was it? 5th?
Fifth.
March 5th, DRB meeting.
Second. Excuse me, second.
Have a meeting, motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you. Ayana, is there any additional business or anything else tonight?
I have one,
Have one?
something, so, is it okay? to
Yeah,
proceed? Okay,
absolutely, go
Madam Chairman, okay. So, you may recall, believe it was at the last meeting, we had a bank come before us, and it was pulled off the agenda. So I was very curious about this, and I fell down that rabbit hole, learned a lot. So the Sandbar, the larger development, was developed under the Live Local Act, which we were told. And it, as staff told us, it appears it's completely legitimate for a bank that's part of a development like that to fall under what I understand. This may be me paraphrasing a tiny bit. I did read the language of the bill itself, but essentially the project, it does have some relief from some density and things like that, and densities can be increased. However, for the most part, for things that we would be concerned with, the project is still required to meet all of the regulations that we administer. It just doesn't come before us as a body. It's reviewed administratively. And so I pulled the staff report for this item, and it was, at least the report that's still available online, it fell short of our standards on 21 different criteria. So I'm thrilled. The Live Local Act is intended to increase affordable housing. South Walton desperately needs more affordable housing, so I am very supportive of this kind of project. But I have a hard time believing that 21 items is not insignificant. So I guess the best way to make me happy that the project is, that this bank, which is an outlying piece of the property, I'd like to get a report from staff at the next meeting as to how all those 21 deficiencies were corrected in the project that went out the door.
And before you respond to that one, in your research, did you see if a temporary building, because you had mentioned that in your quick reading, the temporary building was a little bit of a wash? Unclear whether.
Unclear, but if the criteria, what I was having trouble digesting is that somehow it would be exempted. And it's, the Live Local Act does not exempt from any of the design criteria that we look at. It simply removes it, and for very good reason, that there are communities that don't want affordable housing.
Right.
And a board like this would be a mechanism that someone could prevent a project like that from happening. That's one of the reasons I made the comment. I'm very supportive of the concept of having affordable housing. And because I'm talking specifically about the bank component of it, I'm just very concerned that the project may not have had the same level of review that we would have administered. I understand why it didn't come before us, but I think it would be fair to ask for a report from the staff as to how did the project correct these 21 deficiencies.
I can't speak specifically about the deficiencies, but I will say that Tim did spend time on this project, ensuring that it met both the Live Local Standards, Land Development Code, and Chapter 6. So I don't know the status of the bank currently, but I'm happy to ask Tim to bring back a brief summary of how the project is currently addressing some of those concerns. Is that what you have? Is that a staff report or something that you've developed yourself? Or?
No. It's this package. I didn't print all of it. It's an enormous package. It's a big project. But let me just look at the.
What was the date of that?
So this is the major DO application dated 10/18/2023.
I suspect it's still kicking around here a little bit, but I'll make sure that we bring back something for you to to understand better what the status is.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
Anything else? I was very excited to see everyone here. I love it when we
Awesome.
have a full board.
So sorry I was late, y'all.
Oh, no.
Got
It
stuck
happens,
behind
it happens all the
It
time.
turns out there were 2 lights out. That's why it was taking me so
Yeah,
long
no,
to get
Karen
stuck in it,
told us,
too.
so
I mean,
that-
it took me an hour and 5 minutes to get here. I was like,
no,
what is
that's
happening?
appreciated. So it's
I
been a long,
apologize for my tardiness.
it happens. It absolutely does. So,
Motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn. Let's do it. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Hot potato. This one we gotta figure out though.